Welcome, brilliant minds. I hope that you are completed with your vocabulary work and you have chosen your 4 words and drawn pictures or symbols of each of them with your partner. At this time, this should be complete, and it's important that we have this complete so we have some understanding of these words before we see them in the documents we'll be reviewing today. Today we're going to look at some background on Donald Trump's travel ban in order to be able to complete our GDCAP in the next week. So, for this background text on Donald Trump's travel ban, you're going to want to copy with me as we annotate this text, these 3 boxes, to make sure we understand the travel ban. We're going to read together. This is a background text on Donald Trump's travel ban, and it's a flow map of the 3 versions of the travel ban. That means there's been 1, 2, 3 versions of the travel ban just in the last year, okay? And so we can see that there was one in January. So the first was 1/27/17. The second one was on March 6th. And the most recent one was actually not too long ago. It was September 24th. So this is the first, this is the second, and this is the third. Let's look at them in order. So in the very first one, this one's kind of dark, so you have to look closely at your own copy. President Trump signs Executive Order for Travel Ban version 1. We know from our vocabulary review that an executive order is a law created by the president. So you can go ahead and circle that one and put law from president. Okay? And we know that a travel ban is to not allow someone to enter the country. So we're going to say some people not allowed to enter U.S. Details. This specifically banned people. The people that weren't allowed to enter were from Iraq, Syria, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 countries. And we see some information up here in the note about these 7 countries. It says, note, percentage of Muslims in these countries is Iraq is 98.9, so almost everyone. Iran is 99.7, even more. Libya is also above 90%. Somalia also almost all. Yemen is 99%. Sudan and Syria are also Muslim majority countries. So this means that most people are Muslim in these countries. So 7 countries, I'm going to write mostly Muslim. And they can't enter the U.S. for 90 days. 90 days is about 3 months. It stops U.S. refugee resettlement program for 120 days. So a refugee is someone who's trying to escape danger. Maybe they're in danger for their life in their country. Maybe they're in danger of being tortured. Maybe their family's life is in danger, and so they're trying to escape this country and come to the United States for safety. It stops refugees coming in from Syria with no end date. So this is for 120 days, and these refugees can't come in ever. So the response to this of saying that no people can come from these Muslim countries is that there was chaos. And we can circle chaos and make sure that means that there was disorder or kind of like a mess. There was protests at airports. So we could see that we saw protests saying no ban, no wall. This is my protest sign. Okay. And there are multiple court challenges. This is really important. A court challenge means that there was a lawsuit that someone was saying this might be illegal. Travel ban is put on hold through federal court order. So this means that some people were saying that it might be legal and therefore it had to be kind of paused. So we're going to put a little pause button. Because they weren't sure if it was illegal. So as a result of this action, the protests and the lawsuits and the pause, Trump created a second version. So the second version happened in March so just about 2 months later, government lawyers helped make changes to try and avoid another court challenge. They banned people from Syria, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. So it's still for 90 days, but it looks like they took off Iraq. So they took off Iraq. Let's see if we can figure out what other changes there are. They allowed people who already had permission. They banned all refugees for 120 days. And they took out language that gave preference to non-Muslims. So they're trying to make it so that it doesn't mention religion. Took out language that gave preference to non-Muslims. Okay. Response this time, you still see federal judges fighting the new travel ban. The Supreme Court steps in and decides to let in visitors who have bona fide relationship with someone from the U.S., disagreements on who this includes, and the Supreme Court drops Maryland's court case because at that time it had already expired. So there's kind of some back and forth, but there's still courts, still lawsuits, and they're still debating whether it's illegal or not. Okay, and it seems like the biggest change is really that they're taking off Iraq. So as well, there's still being court cases, Trump's office comes up with a third version, and this time it's 6 months later in September. Decision made based on cooperation information sharing with the U.S. chose 8 countries based on lack of security and screening whose kind come to the U.S. So this time it's gone from 7 countries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to 6 countries. And now we see 8 countries, okay? And looks like they still have Syria, but they're adding North Korea. They're adding North Korea. It has different kinds of visitors from Iran, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, and Chad. So keeping those countries. And it's also adding Venezuela. So we're adding North Korea, we're adding Venezuela. If we look up here, this note, it says Chad is 58% Muslim, Venezuela is less than 2% Muslim, and Islam is almost non-existent in Korea. So they're adding 2 non-Muslim countries. And I'll write that here. Non-Muslim, and Venezuela is also non-Muslim. So adding 2 non-Muslims. It's going to take effect on October 18th, and it has no expiration date. And we see the response, while there's less than we saw in the previous, there's still several states that are filing lawsuits, including California. So there's still lawsuits, and there's still questions about whether it is illegal or not. So you've seen that there's some changes, but there's still a lot of legal action against it. And now that we've figured out that there's still this legal action, we want to think about what are the 2 opinions to achieve our objective by writing off a tree map. So we're going to turn to the last page of our notes for today, and we're going to create a tree map that's going to figure out what are the 2 positions. So let's begin reading and see if this can help us with our tree map. On January 27th, 2017, 7 days after taking office, President Trump made an executive order to temporarily stop people coming in from certain countries so the government could review and strengthen the way the U.S. decides who can and who can't come into the country. So let's see. President Trump made an executive order to temporarily stop people coming in from certain countries. That's what the travel ban is, right? So this is his travel ban. And it starts in January 2017. So the government could review and strengthen the way the U.S. decides who can and can't come into the country. This travel ban immediately caused a lot of controversy. So controversy means disagreement or conflict. Some people strongly support it, and some people fought against it. So we have people who are supporting and some people who are against it. So we have the beginnings of our tree map right here. Let's title this People's Opinions on Travel Ban. We have some who support it. So I'm going to go on my first branch and say support. I'm going to go on my second branch and I'm going to say people who are against it. Okay? And let's see if we can add to this. The travel ban has had many legal challenges since first introduced and has been stopped twice in court. In an attempt to get the courts to back off, Trump and his team have made many changes to the ban 3 times. The third and latest version was scheduled to take effect on October 18th. People are still really divided on this issue. This last part, I want you to read to see if you can add to why people support and why people are against. Right? So you want to think about what is a quote of why people support it, and you want to think if you can think of a quote of why people are against it. And I'm going to give you a key word to help you. The support people are thinking about the idea of protection, and the against people are thinking about the idea of discrimination. Discrimination. Okay, so I filled in this box, and now I want you to fill in a quote in your bottom box to add to that text evidence. Okay, you can go ahead and pause the video now while you read this and add a reason why people support it for protection or people are against it for discrimination. Fill in these 2 boxes. Now that you've finished these 2 boxes with text evidence in these last sentences, you're going to want to head and go to your proving behavior. You're going to need to write sentences off of this map to form a paragraph. So let's say, let me start with the topic sentence together. So, Americans have many strong opinions about Trump's travel ban. First, some people support it because, and you can go ahead and add your text evidence here. And then after you finish that, you can unpause the video and you can add, second, some people are against it because. And you can go ahead and add your text evidence about why people are against it. Okay? After you finish your paragraph, you want to make sure you're leaving your notes open, so in this case you can check your work to see if you achieved your objective. And you can go ahead and then after you've had that checked, you can go ahead and go on the websites that are board while you wait for instructions on when to clean up. Thank you so much for your hard work today.